So today at around 6 p.m., Mom and I went to the Willow Inn for some karaoke. And there weren't that many people tonight. Only about a handful or so, so I ended up getting to sing 7 songs. The first of which was Nice to Know You by Uncleboris, followed by Yellow by Coldplay, then Purple Rain by Prince, then Suddenly Seymour by Ashman Howard, then Won't Go Home Without You by Maroon 5, then Still Loving You by the Scorpions, and then finally finishing off with Day After Day by Badfinger. From those song choices, I get an interpretation that I have a bent toward singing alternative rock / pop songs. This is the queso that came with the fried pretzel sticks order I made. I think around the time I submitted the request for Still Loving You by the Scorpions. I didn't store all of those song names and authors through nothing. I have a habit of making a quick memo note within my phone of all the karaoke songs I sing within my phone, with the name of the song first, then separated by a dash, the band or artist who made that song. I did some more rearrangements. I'm gonna have to do more. It would be most efficient if these arcane facilities were around here, rather than sideways like they are now. This is a lean cuisine meal. This is the orange chicken frozen meal with some rice. I recall getting up around noon or at the latest 1 p.m. And around that time, Mom made me a different meal by the Lean Cuisine brand. Their frozen meals seem to be surprisingly healthy to me, with not too many calories for a frozen meal. Considerable sodium, but not terrible for frozen meals. And plenty of protein. think also these meals don't have much fat, but that's not really a goal of mine. The goal here is to get frozen meals with not too many carbs. Yeah, once we were at the Willow Inn, the food I got there was the beer battered fish sandwich, with the fish part cut in half and everything else being one part, and kept together with a toothpick. It's a simple way to keep a sandwich intact, and is probably the way to do it. Although it generally isn't worth the risk of biting into the toothpick. Since the consequences for doing that can be dire. I actually took the toothpick out so I could lift the top bun to put ketchup on top of the tartar sauce, which was on top of the fish patty, then put the bun and the toothpick back on before later taking the toothpick back out as I approached the middle of the sandwich. Again, because of that, to avoid that risk of biting into the toothpick. Biting into it. Mom's friend Johnny arrived a bit later and ended up sharing a double order of pizza logs with marinara sauce with me and Mom. And then a regular of the Willow Inn, as someone who I've become a bit of a friend with, shared some fries and ketchup with me. The Willow Inn customers tonight were very generous. It was while I was at the Willow Inn that I decided to work on a Ukraine themed styrofoam drawing. In particular, on the front, I'm going to do that Tri-Zeb coat of arms, shield symbol. It's the official coat of arms symbol, and it's relatively easy for me to do compared to what I've done recently. The only thing is, I only brought an ultra fine. The only yellow Sharpie marker I brought was an ultra fine one, which I initially planned on bringing for the shield outline, but then I figured that one was too fine, and it left an indentation within the front of the styrofoam. And the fine Sharpie marker that I thought was yellow actually turned out to be a lime green Sharpie marker. Kind of frustrating because the color of the cap between a lime green Sharpie marker and a yellow Sharpie marker, they're very similar to each other, so it's easy to confuse the two. which is what I ended up doing. As such, I could only work on the side. The circular side of the styrofoam drawing, for which I decided to do a striped pattern of the Ukrainian colors. The blue both in the trizeb and the Ukrainian flag itself. The blue is a shade that's darker than sky blue, but lighter than blue. So I picked out a special shade of blue from the Ultimate Sharpie marker pack that Mom got me for Christmas. I recall getting this these fried pretzel sticks around 9 p.m. So maybe it was the time of Won't Go Home Without You by Maroon 5. And then I got the pretzel sticks around the time I sang Still Loving You by the Scorpions. It came in a styrofoam food container. It just as the queso did. Technically, these styrofoam pieces are usable, but you have to make quite a bit of effort in cleaning them up. Prior to, in the hours between waking up and us going to the Willow Inn, I made some minor efforts towards helping Mom clean up my room, if I recall, but they were very minor efforts. I primarily worked on the new P raw video file, to which the primary work I did was essentially make it 2 seconds long in preparation for either the fair-skinned, at this point, the fair-skinned female of the trio, or the light-skinned male of the trio to say something. More likely to be the light-skinned male of the trio, although I still haven't been able to find the text-to-speech voice I used for him. In the afternoon, I went on Discord in an effort so I could ask the Rapper Offline community if they know where I can find the voice and how I can fix that voice within Rapper Offline. I first did this within the questions channel of the server. Almost immediately afterward, I felt that that may have been the wrong channel, even though nobody said anything. So I think about 2 hours later, I did the same thing in the support channel, since I felt that channel was more appropriate for my inquiry. To my knowledge, nothing has been said yet. I may be able to find essentially the same voice under a different name. If I recall correctly, there was an Earthbound alien prop character within the Real Random Lotsie video that may have used essentially the same voice. Only in that case, the alien text-to-speech voice may have more distortion, so I'm not sure to what extent I could use it. Ever since I went from being in my previous fellowship to being in this new fellowship that to me feels like an actual fellowship. I'm no longer the only one pulling all the weight. At this point, I get message notifications in my inbox that are X number KP threads. It's not quite, in my opinion, a Wonder Point society, but it's good enough for now. I find myself giving away my knowledge points to my fellow fellowship members. It feels like the right thing to do in many cases. These are the ancient wonders I've managed to build within my city in Elvenar so far. I'm pretty close to having the necessary runes to build Enar's embassy. Which may be an ideal placement for around here, maybe. That fellowship, I mean... that ancient wonder will require 2 city tiles in order to place. And I don't really have even 1 city tile free. Obviously, I have some empty space. But the big sections... I'm gonna need... in order to be able to fit in what the chapter I'm currently on expects of me for the University of Magic, essentially. I'm currently on the Sorcerers and Dragons chapter, in which you essentially, again, build a big University of Magic. I'm currently upgrading the residences so that I could at some point move them somewhere. Last time I checked, I was in 12th place in terms of contributing to the tournament, and now I'm probably in an even lower position. Lower position because an earlier task set told me to complete 4 encounters. And by 4 encounters, they don't just mean any encounter, they mean the province encounters that you get from scouting provinces. They don't mean Spire encounters, and they don't mean tournament encounters. Both of those don't count. At the Willow Inn, when Johnny was sharing the pizza logs, the double order of pizza logs, I don't really like this event's buildings very much, but they're certainly better than nothing. To avoid double dipping a pizza log, but still getting to dip twice, I would first dip like this, turn it the other way, and then dip again. And then after doing that, I would eat the middle and get all the raw, cheesy center. Essentially. Johnny then later got the same thing I got, the deep fried pretzel sticks. That wasn't shared. I definitely didn't feel like asking that at that point. But seeing the order of deep-fried pretzel sticks, resulted in me uttering a sentence, a question with the phrase pretzel logs in it. When I meant pizza logs. It was a bit of a funny moment. If I recall correctly, the person who shared fries and ketchup with me was someone who sang some karaoke songs in Spanish. As in the karaoke lyrics and the song itself were in Spanish. And another person at the Willow Inn complimented my singing. Of the karaoke songs. It was a pretty nice thing to do. On the way home, I called my dad, and then I called my sister, which led to a long conversation between her and Mom. At one point during the karaoke night, Mom sang "A Zombie" by the Cranberries. For that karaoke session, it was decided it would be sang accompanied by the original karaoke video, which is more helpful than the lyrics of the song itself in showing what it was written about, which was the Troubles. Which, to greatly simplify it, was a period in time in which there was considerable violence within Ireland due to tensions over religion and Ireland's role within the United Kingdom, essentially to what extent Ireland should be independent or not from the United Kingdom. But the lyrics with their tanks and their guns and their bombs, essentially, it's possible to mishear the "in your head" part as ERA. At least that's what it happened to me in the past, but it's IRA, not ERA. So, even with the lyrics, it's entirely possible to miss the point that it was written regarding the Troubles.